Today we're talking about the Mythic banner for October 2024 in Fire Emblem Heroes. We'll go over our new Mythic, plus briefly review the 11 other heroes on the banner. This month we are getting Mythic Hræsvelgr from the Book 8 story. I guess her role is done, so now she's playable. As a unit, Edelgard's cousin's a blue beast flower. For stats, Hræsvelgr seems to have 40 HP, 45 attack, 48 speed, 36 defense, and 25 res. She basically matches Brighter Emblem from this year, and there is only one other blue flying beast unit in the game, which is the heroic girl Nesala. Interestingly, Hræsvelgr is a light mythic that boosts attack. She has a good amount of support perks while looking fairly decent in battle. For old skills, Hræsvelgr has Speed and Defense near Trace 4, and that's it. The other two holders of this skill are actually on ongoing banners if you want this skill specifically. Hræsvelgr's Quieting Claw I don't believe has seen any changes. 14 might, and if transformed she's going to get 3 movement. Every turn if above 25% HP inflict -7 speed and defense debuffs, exposure, and the anti-miracle status onto the nearest foe and anyone within 2 spaces of them. For combat, Hræsvelgr has accelerated specials. If above 25% HP, she gets +5 to all stats and inflicts attack, speed, and defense debuffs on the foe equal to X. X will be 4 plus the number of foes within 2 spaces that have any kind of status times 3. This does not include the target, and you're going to need 2 nearby foes with statuses to inflict a max -10 debuffs. Moving on, Hræsvelgr will deal true damage equal to Y. Y is the total number of statuses on the target and foes within 2 spaces times 3. This has no cap, so watch out. In addition, Hræsvelgr will get 40% damage reduction against all attacks, and she has 50% DR piercing. Overall, Hræsvelgr inflicts 2 statuses each turn, so she can gain her max debuffs if the enemy is grouped up. Anti-miracle is pretty solid if you're annoyed with units like Marnie. Meanwhile, Hræsvelgr can stack a lot of true damage potentially. Exposure is +10 itself, and then every status positive or negative is another +3. If the foe relies on status buffing, that's free damage, and you can bring your own status debuffers for more. Hræsvelgr will get a unique C skill called Divine Talon. Every turn she grants 3 effects to herself and nearby allies. Hræsvelgr cleanses penalties at the start of her turn, and she deals 1 damage to the team, like Bernadetta. There is also a super rain snap effect. Hræsvelgr gives +1 movement to all dragons and beasts, infantry, and armored allies. Unlike regular rain snap, this will affect ranged units as well. Now for combat, if Hræsvelgr is transformed or the foe has high HP, she gets another +5 stats, no follow-up effects, no guard, and flat damage reduction equal to X with a double dose when enemy specials trigger. Similar to the Excel skills, the flat DR is equal to the amount of spaces moved by the initiator times 4. Hræsvelgr or the foe need to move 3 spaces for a max 12 flat DR. Divine Talon is pretty good. You can get 4 movement Beast or Dragon Cavaliers and 3 movement Ranged Infantry. The penalty cleanse is nice, but it's not going to cleanse anything being applied at the same time. As for the 1 self-damage, Hræsvelgr doesn't have any other effects that synergize, unlike Brave Bernie and her Paranoia. It's kind of just there if you want to use tactics that manipulate HP. Maybe there's going to be some future synergy with the remaining Book 8 characters or future skills. As for the in-combat effects, no follow-up for a speedy unit to double, no guard to constantly charge special, and Excel's flat DR to stack with her own 40% DR. You're going to be able to get more % damage reduction from Nimble Beast. Basically, this is just an inheritable beast-only version of the Gust special, or simply put, it's the speed version of the Sturdy Beast special. 3 cooldown, if transformed, deal 50% speed as bonus damage. Otherwise, it's a weaker 40% speed. Like other unpierceable % effects, you're going to need to meet 2 conditions. 1 is someone special is ready in combat or has been triggered, and 2 is the user needs to be transformed or they need to be within 4 speed of the enemy. 1 number Beast requires transformation to deal full damage. That will also get rid of the speed check Gust users have to meet. Generally not good for fast units to get outsped, but if it happens, then Beast can still get the 40% damage reduction. To make transforming easier, Hræsvelgr brings a new beast-only A skill. Attack and Speed Fortune provides 2 extra conditions to transform. 1 is if any beast or dragon is within 2 spaces. 2 is that a beast can still transform if they're next to 2 or fewer human allies. The only way you do not transform is if you're surrounded by 3 or 4 human allies. Now, similar to Halloween Asker, Fortune also allows Beast to transform on turn 1 when defending an Aether raids. If you can transform, you're going to do it immediately. Fortune would then have combat perks, plus 8 attack and speed and neutralizing the foe's speed and defense field boss. The user heals 7 HP after combat. Not confirmed, but from the icon, Fortune might be a tier 4 upgrade of the Form A skills. If so, it's going to be very easy to inherit. In terms of transforming, it's very hard to fail with this skill, and the immediately transforming in 8th raids can also be good for any of the beast units minus flyers who just get that +1 movement buff as their bonus. Also, Hræsvelgr is a light mythic, so it's kind of funny as a skill to debut on her. Still, Fortune is meant to work with stuff like Nimble Beast or Sturdy Beast. It's an option instead of the Beast Sacred Seal or the Beast B skills. It's not a guaranteed transformation, but it's two very generous conditions. Mythic Hræsvelgr is an interesting unit. Offense mythic with movement buffs and penalty cleanse is good. You can also mess around with HP manipulation. The anti-miracle effect is good against annoying units, and exposure with speed and defense debuffs are nice for physical damage dealers. Combat-wise, lots of goodies. Slaying plus no guard can get Nimble Beast going on a follow-up attack. There are two 40% DR effects with a strong flat DR effect, and Hræsvelgr has DR piercing herself. She then has an uncapped true damage mechanic based on any status on the nearby foes. This potentially gets very ugly because if a team has 2 positive statuses and Hræsvelgr inflicts her 2 negative statuses, then that's 4 times 3 for plus 12 true damage. That's for a single enemy. If there are 3 nearby enemies that have the same statuses, then it's 12 times 4 for plus 48 true damage on 1 hit. Yikes. This can obviously get much crazier, plus exposure to its own 10 true damage. You also got Near Trace 4 for 7 true damage. If you don't need Kanto, Momentum is another very spicy new B skill. Could also run stuff like aerial maneuvers, potent, counter roar, etc. With her 1 self damage, Escape Route 4 can be a fun surprise warp tool. I'm sure some will want to run Gale Force. If you want to do that, try to get Breath or Blade type cooldown. All in all, Hræsvelgr should be a fine unit, though she doesn't really stop any hyper-aggressive defense teams. I would still plan to have to deal with things like immediate turn 1 attacks or just far-reaching warping units. Moving on, let's talk about the 11 other heroes on this banner. Red's gonna have Embla, Ford, and Edward. Despite being mostly the color red, Hræsvelgr is a blue unit. She's gonna be with Vale and Fallen Ursula. Green has Hathrun, legendary male Corrin, and attuned Erica. Colorless has Igdunir, legendary male Alir, and Nidavellir. Starting off in red is Dark Mythic Embla. Embla's Severance inflicts Undefeated and Feud to cut off Savior and support skills from allies. Since Hræsvelgr's penalty cleanse is at start of her player phase, that's not going to stop Embla's Severance skill. Now Embla can also cleanse penalties on herself, and she's going to get a dodge status. From her weapon, she's going to get Slaying, no guard, and inflicts debuffs based on the number of foes within 3 rows or columns. If there are 2 or more foes in range, Embla will get Defense and a follow-up and guard. For skills, Embla brings attack and speed clash 4, and Beast Agility. Agility grants offense and a follow-up, and the tier 4 is on Ratatoskr. My Sacred Stones collection is incomplete because I couldn't get Ford. He's a sword cav with good attack and speed and a defense focus. The Wild Wind Sword inflicts -7 speed and defense debuffs on Ford at start of both phases. Ford then has Slaying, built-in unity to utilize his self debuffs, and he gets true damage equal to 1.5 times the amount of total debuffs active on him. Ford will have no follow-up, 40% DR, and 7 HP sustain. For skills, Ford is the only unit with Speed and Demons Unity, and he's going to stack that with his built-in Unity. Ford then has Speed and Demons Near Trace 4 in case you don't want to chase after Hræsvelgr. Last up we have Edward, a Swordmaster with very high defense. Calidbog has Slaying, no guard, 50% DR piercing, and grants -1 instant cooldown before the foe's first attack. It then has 8 flat DR or 16 flat DR against special procs. Edward's counterattack will be empowered with any damage he reduces from any source. Edward's kit is meant to use buffer 4 to pre-charge Godlike Reflexes, and Calidbog can help recharge it on later fights. However, stuff like the Goose Friend can just pre-charge Godlike Reflexes every fight, and you can get more flat DR if you're not going to be confident in dodge skills. Edward also has the other half of the most popular build for the year, and that's Breath of Life 4. If you like Edward, I think he definitely can have a fun time with the newer skills like Gust or Times Pulse Echo. Those would fit Calidbog very well. For blue units, Hræsvelgr brings 2 new beast skills. If you want Nimble Beast or Attack and Speed Fortune, you're going to have to get her. That's the only way for now. Hræsvelgr also has Speed and Defense Near Trace 4 if you want to upgrade. Joining blue is going to be Astral Mythic Vale. She's a high attacker as Blue True Mage. Veil Protection offers 30% damage reduction and Scout support for nearby allies. Veil has to win a res check for this to happen. From her weapon, she has more support perks with +6 attack and res field buffs, Resonance Blades, Resonance Shields as well. Veil herself will get Slaying, a free follow-up, 20% res true damage, and low attack and res. For fodder, Veil has attack and res finish 4 and attack and res tempo 4, still decent skills for infantry magic damage dealers. Our third blue unit is Fallen Ursula. Glass Cannon Blue Mage Cav. Ursula is an AoE special spammer. She has Slaying and can get -2 cooldown if at full HP each turn. Ursula also offers +6 attack and speed field balls and desperation support for nearby allies. That was pretty unique, but now Brave Bernie's Paranoia is also a desperation support effect. By turn 2, Ursula can pre-charge AoE specials. In combat, she gets a lot of attack and speed, true damage based on speed, and offense and a follow-up to pair with desperation. If she's at full health, she's also going to get no guard, which means she can now recharge her AoE for the next player phase. To further power up, Verge of Death boosts flat attack and speed and neutralizes panic or debuffs. Speed and Res Fortress 4 adds 7 flat damage to AoE specials, and Defense Res Smoke grants Pathfinder to help allies follow up. While Veil and Ursula are not bad units, this is a strangely less impressive pairing for the newest Mythics color group. Last month Sigurd was blue, and he got the most recent limited time Emblem Hero plus Lumera. For comparison, Mythic Veil came out during last October's Mythic Banner, and Ursula is a permanent 5-star. A little disappointing if you wanted some recent limited banner units. Speaking of which, the green group has 3 first-time rerunners. Anima Mythic Hræsvelgr is a green beast infantry built like a tank. Her Divine Nectar grants a status of the same name to allies, and this acts like Breath of Life 4, except it's a set 20 HP heal, it fully counters deep wounds, and in one fight per phase you get 10 flat DR for all attacks. Very powerful status. Hræsvelgr also lets Divine Nectar allies get an extra action if they rally or movement assist. From her weapon, Hræsvelgr gets a plug effect for attacking defense debuffs, discord, deep wounds, and the same anti-miracle effect Hræsvelgr inflicts. Combat-wise, she has Slaying, more flat DR based on res, low attack and defense, breath type cooldown, and guard. For fodder, you can get attack and defense Borg 4, and Hræsvelgr's the only source of Stronghold. Fortifications is fun, but Stronghold can be inherited by all unit types. Next up is legendary Mel Corrin. He's a high speed and res green infantry dragon. His weapon has distant counter, Slaying, times pulse 4, 7 flat DR, and scowl. He will basically always have his unique Dragon Fang shot ready. This will boost damage by 40% resistance, and Corrin gets 50% DR piercing if a special was ready in battle. This special has a Dragon Wall type 40% DR effect, but it's unpierceable. After combat, if this special were to trigger, Corrin would deploy Divine Vein water tiles within 2 spaces of the enemy. Water tiles slow down ranged foes, inflict -5 speed, and give 50% DR piercing for allies. For fodder, Corrin is the only unit with high Dragon Wall, still 40% DR depending on a res check, but it gives a lot more res advantages. It also grants Warp Bubble against ranged foes. Corrin also has Speed and Res Finish 4 and Attack and Res Ploy 3, lots of nice stuff. Last green unit is Attuned Erica, Axe Infantry who is fully dependent on outspeeding. Moonlit Bengal Q gives advantage if Erica outspeeds. She gets true damage equal to 25% of the foe's defense stat, no guard, and then -1 instant cooldown for all attacks. From her weapon, Erica gets Phantom Speed, and she buffs allies with +6 attack and speed with the dodge status. She has Slaying, flat DR based on speed, 50% DR piercing, and 7 HP healing on hit. Erica's Vantage Cheese synergizes with Nelsie Disrupt Echo to negate sweep effects. She then has times pulse 4 to help pre-charge Gust to proc during her Vantage attack. Lots of powerful infantry skills, and to top it off, Erica also has Distant Bonus Doubler. Very nice skill set to utilize her attuned status. Green is definitely an excellent offering this month. The colorless group also has a couple first-time rerunners. Astromythic Eighthioneur is colorless Beast Cavalier with min-max low speed. Each turn, Eighthioneur will grant +6 attack and defense, bonus doubler, and +3 to any field boss on nearby allies. Eighthioneur is the guy if you want to abuse field buffing. For his weapon, he was going to get Kanto 2, Slaying, and inflicts attack and defense debuffs based on 20% of his defense. He deals true damage equal to the total highest field boss among himself and allies within 3 spaces. Ache will then get flat DR equal to half that true damage amount. From his B skill, he's going to always transform and cleanses penalties after every start of turn effect. Ache gets a follow-up attack, heals 7 HP after combat, and does a flat attack and flat defense check with the enemy. If he wins those, he's going to inflict extra attack and defense debuffs. For fodder, Eighthioneur is the only unit with Fierce Beast. It's the 2 cooldown DR piercing special for Beast units. He is then one of 2 units with both attack and defense excel, and Beast Threaten, some very rare stuff on hand. Joining Eighthioneur once again is legendary Mel Allure, high speed and res colorless dragon. This Allure also has a Slaying, Dofre's Brave Dragonstone. He has 50% DR piercing for all hits and built-in scowl via his weapon. Allure's A skill grants distant counter, lots of stats, and 40% DR. If he has 3 nearby allies during the enemy phase, Allure gets a miracle effect and will full heal after the fight. Hræsvelgr will help counter this annoying ability. For fodder, you can get Attack and Speed Pledge for Breath type cooldown and Dragon's Roar from Pierce Bodier on dragon units. Dragon's Roar is also now on Hollowing Harmonic Nagi. This layer is the only unit with Speed and Res Bulwark 4 if you want that. Last unit for today is Mythic, the OG. He's a Glass Cannon Colorless Bow Cav who can pre-charge AoEs or just any high cooldown specials. For 4 turns, Mythic gets -3 cooldown himself, and he grants -1 cooldown with the Hexblade status to allies. He can immediately proc area effect specials with adaptive damage, and will add 20% speed as true damage to the AoE. After combat, Mythic has Conduct Distance +1 to run very far away. It's fairly annoying if you can't deal with AoEs, and cooldown support is always good. However, like Regan, he's on a 4-turn timer before running out of steam. For fodder, Verge of Death is to boost the AoE damage, and Seal Defense Res 3 can inflict in-combat debuffs. That will be it for this month's Mythic banner. I'm not sure if we're being set up for a double Mythic Nidhogger and Larauder banner next month, but it's certainly possible to finish off Book 8. I think Hræsvelgr should be a fun unit, but I'm not sure if she's got what people want from a late Mythic at the moment. Movement buffs are nice, but the enemy may just walk up or warp in first. Let me know your thoughts though, and good luck if you do plan to summon. The holiday orb spending season is upon us, so plan carefully. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.